all coincidences with real people are random. If they tell you that this is not the case, ignore them. Sonic the Hedgehog and Tails the Fox had been battling Dr. Eggman's robots for years, but this time something felt different. They had received information about a new, massive factory built by Eggman in the deepest part of the forest. The air was thick with unease as they approached the ominous structure. "Are you sure about this?" Tails Sonic asked, his usually confident tone tinged with doubt. Tails nodded, his twin tails twitching nervously. "We have to stop him, Sonic. If we don't, who knows what kind of monstrosity he's creating in there." With a shared look of determination, they sneaked into the factory, avoiding the patrolling drones and security systems. The factory was a labyrinth of dark corridors and mechanical sounds, each step echoing with the promise of danger. After what felt like hours of creeping through the shadows, they found themselves in the control room. Screens displayed various data and blueprints, and in the center of it all was a massive robot, still incomplete but radiating a menacing aura. "This must be it," Tails whispered. "We need to find a way to shut it down before it's too late." Suddenly, the door slammed open and Dr. Eggman entered the room, flanked by his robotic minions. He laughed, a sound that sent shivers down Sonic's spine. Well, if it isn't Sonic and Tails. You're just in time to witness my greatest creation." Eggman activated the robot, and it roared to life, its eyes glowing a sinister red. Sonic and Tails braced themselves for the fight of their lives. The battle was intense, with the robot's powerful attacks shaking the very foundations of the factory. Sonic and Tails fought valiantly, but it quickly became clear that this was unlike any opponent they had faced before. The factory began to crumble under the stress of the battle. Sparks flew, and the air was filled with the smell of burning metal. Sonic managed to land a few hits, but the robot seemed almost invincible. "Tails, we need to find its weak spot," Sonic shouted over the din. Tails scanned the robot, his keen eyes spotting a vulnerability. There, aim for the power core in its chest. Just as Sonic prepared to deliver the final blow, the robot unleashed a powerful blast, sending him flying across the room. Tails, seeing his friend hurt, unleashed a barrage of missiles at the power core. The robot staggered but didn't fall. Eggman's laughter echoed through the chamber. "You fools, you can never defeat me." The factory was on the brink of collapse, and Sonic and Tails were running out of time. Tails managed to get Sonic back on his feet, and they made a desperate dash towards the exit. But the robot wasn't finished yet. It launched one final, devastating attack, and the world exploded in a blinding flash of light. When the dust settled, Sonic and Tails found themselves outside the crumbling factory. They were battered and bruised, but alive. The factory was in ruins, smoke and fire rising into the sky. They had barely escaped with their lives. But their relief was short-lived. From the shadows of the destroyed factory, a new robot emerged, built from the wreckage of the old one. It was larger, more terrifying, and its eyes burned with a malevolent light. Sonic and Tails stood their ground, knowing this was their final stand. The robot advanced, and the battle resumed with renewed ferocity. But it was clear they were outmatched. The robot was faster, stronger, and relentless. In a final act of desperation, Tails threw himself in front of Sonic, taking the full brunt of the robot's attack. He was thrown to the ground, his body broken and lifeless. Sonic's scream of anguish echoed through the forest, but there was no time to mourn. The robot continued its assault, and Sonic fought with every ounce of strength he had left. But it was not enough. The robot's attacks were too powerful, and Sonic, too, was eventually overwhelmed. The last thing he saw was the triumphant glow in the robot's eyes as it stood over him, victorious. Rescuers arrived at the scene, but there was nothing left to save. The factory was a smoldering ruin, and the bodies of Sonic and Tails were nowhere to be found. The world mourned the loss of its greatest heroes, but life went on, forever changed by the horror that had unfolded. The legend of Sonic and Tails became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the thin line between heroism and tragedy. And in the shadows, the new robot watched and waited, a dark testament to the legacy of Dr. Eggman. The world would never be the same,